Okay, this is the chuck I made for doing small balls. Now normally I would be using a blank smaller than this, but I don't have any handy at the moment. So this one is 4 3/4 maple. You drill a hole in the center. This is a 1/4 inch threaded stud I made out of a lag bolt here. So I usually do a 5/32 hole. Don't wobble it around, just drill a 5/32 hole. You turn the speed all the way down. Thread it on and make sure it's tight. Though it will tend to tighten up on its own as you do your cutting. Okay. Yeah, none of my safety fans will be jumping for joy over this one. First thing you want to do is get the bottom flattened and get a tenon on it. That way, if for any reason you get a catch and it strips your thread, you can turn it around and finish the ball using the tenon. You're going to say, well, how are you going to get to the bottom? Well, if it should strip and you have a tenon on it, you put it in a chuck, turn it around and use the chuck, 4-jaw chuck, grip the tenon. You can cut a recess in the top, turn it around on that same 4-jaw chuck, which I have a set of ripple jaws that I can grip. Inside I can go down 1 3/4 inch, and on the outside it's 2 1/4 recess will fit this chuck. So on a bowl like this I could easily turn the 2 1/4 recess, turn it back around, finish the bottom, turn it around again, grip it with the same chuck, and finish the inside. So you always want to get a tenon on there so that you have an alternate method of holding it in case a screw chuck should strip. You really shouldn't be, it shouldn't really be a problem in the long run. As long as you keep it sharp and don't try to take too big a chunks off of the wood until you're used to it. What I'm doing here is marking center. I'm going to make a 2-inch tenon on this. Okay, now I can go ahead do whatever I want to do with the blank, and I don't have to worry because I can always turn it around if I have to. Bloody bark. Sand off there. Okay, there's the outside profile. It's roughed out. I'll refine it. But now it's ready to turn around. Let's picture it sanded and all finished. You can turn it around, grip it in the jaws of a chuck, and finish the inside no problem. But this allows you to get to the entire outside of the piece. When especially, I've got, okay, this is my favorite big one. This is 6-inch diameter, made out of a piece of mulberry. It's got a 5/16 bolt, lag bolt. Okay, I have different pieces I can put on here to shorten this. Generally, you're not going to need that entire bolt length. That's, I don't even use that much when I turn 14 to 16 blanks. It's not needed. If you drill the proper hole, you can, it'll go on very tight and you won't have to worry about it. But I can use different sizes to shorten it up. Okay, that's approximately 3/4 of an inch long total, counting the sharp tip. Normally, if I'm doing a really big blank, I'm going to use this one because I want all the support possible. That's plenty big enough to support a 16-inch, as long as you aren't trying to take a 3/4 gouge to it, of course. That might get a little tricky. But that's about as much as I ever use. Maybe if I was doing some cedar, like my white cedar or something like that, I would maybe use more of the lag bolt. But generally that 3/4 of an inch or so, that's all it's needed for most turning. Mine, they're all threaded 1/4 8 TPI, so I can put them straight on the spindle. I prefer it that way because if you put a tenon on it and try and hold it in the chuck, this is cross grain. When you do that, if something should go wrong and that tenon cracks, not only do you have the chuck, but a rather large bolt blank whirring around the shop trying to take your toes off. So I would rather have it straight onto the spindle I wouldn't use a recess on a screw chuck for nothing. Yeah, that's not even a reasonable thought. You're asking for trouble with a bolt in the middle and a recess trying to expand the wood. No, that's not even logical. And a cross-grain tenon is not strong. Not when it's the only thing holding a 40-pound bowl blank on a screw chuck. No, that's not a wise decision either. So I keep all mine, they're threaded. I have different sizes for different things because that's just the way I am. I want stuff fitted. This is another 5/16 screw chuck, just a little smaller. I think this is a little over 4 inches. This is another 1/4 inch one that has a longer screw that I have made discs for of various thicknesses so I can put them on there to shorten this up. This one I had made because I have some small little blanks to make possibly Chinese teacups, sake cups, whatever, and if I put the blanks on a larger piece like this, then I'm going to be cutting into my screw chuck when I get up near the top of the profile if I am not real careful. Well, why? I can do it this way. I have a gap. I can go ahead and turn in. If I have to, I can face the blank off in this gap. Just makes the whole process go smoother, easier. And no, I don't use a 4-jaw chuck with standard 2-inch jaws with a wood screw. Do I own them? Yes, I do. Do I like it? No, I don't. That front face on those jaws, which is approximately like these, you put that in there. By the time you tighten it down around this, you've got such a small circle of support. It's not good to use it with large blanks because there's not enough support on the back when you get out far enough away, like say a 12-inch bowl, of which I've done many of them. The threads on this don't hold the greatest, really. And if you want to turn something smaller like this, then you have to worry about, well, actually smaller than this, you got to worry about banging into the edge of your jaws or possibly ramming a tool down into the gap accidentally and then you tear your tool up. Why bother? I make these out of scrap wood I've got laying around all over the place. Good use for scrap. When I can't burn it, I turn it into something like this. These are very handy. They come in very useful on many things. You do not use one on end grain. I've seen it done. You don't want to, no thread holds well in end grain. That's why you don't use a faceplate on end grain either. The screws don't hold for ding dong. But this is how I use it. And now I can just unscrew it, turn it around in my 4-jaw chuck I have, and finish turning the inside. Just takes a second. Just you pop it on and you're already turning. And it's a very simple thing to use. Richard Rappin on his YouTube channel has some great video, it's actually several, showing his use and explanations on using these. I don't know, a lot of people seem to take the advice better when it comes from somebody like Richard Raffin than it does a lunatic like me. So, yeah, see, I can put it back on, running through. Not that I usually have to take them off. Another thing I was going to point out is I did slightly dovetail the tenon. If you plan on using the tenon as part of your foot, like I will here, when I finish this off, in the end, right here at the bottom, this will become part of the foot to give it a little more height. Okay. You hear about you got to have a flat for the chuck jaws to be up against. Well, no you don't. That's another myth. Along with bowl gouges, or spindle gouges can't be used on bowls. No, spindle roughing gouges can't be used on bowls. A regular spindle gouge works very nicely on bowls. But you don't need a huge flat spot here. And I deliberately left one here so I could point this out. All you need when you do turnings with a set of jaws, any jaws, they all come to a fairly nice sharp edge inside, is have a slight dovetail with a nice clean line between the bottom of that, and then you can just continue out your design. There doesn't have to be a flat, because when you put it in the chuck jaws and you tighten it down on that bottom edge of the dovetail, it'll run true and it will hold just fine. So, a little more than just a screw truck demonstration, wasn't it? Oh well, got your money's worth. But yes, that will now become a little bowl. This is still somewhat green, so I will turn it thick on the inside and let it dry and then reprofile it. Excuse me. Wood dust. So that's it. That's how they're used. They're very simple, easy to make. I've got a video on making them on my YouTube channel. This will go on my YouTube channel. So yeah. And if anybody's wondering, there is a hole right here. Well, I tend to get in a hurry. Instead of using my strap wrench, I just stick, usually a Phillips head screwdriver, stick it in there and unscrew it. There, tight again. Any questions, you know where to find me.